Hey everybody, welcome to G4G on YouTube. Today we are gonna take a look at this video here, the one that you're watching. It's a topic I didn't particularly want to cover, mostly because I happen to like Blizzard. I have been a fan of their works for many years, dating back to the original Warcraft, and of course, World of Warcraft has probably been the single biggest and longest running game of my life, dating back to the beta in 2004. When you see people doing videos on loot boxes and the crime of loot boxes and everything, Jim Sterling covers it a lot among Yang Ye and Sid Alpha. As a matter of fact, Sid Alpha has just recently declared Blizzard as a dirty dev over this controversy, and I mean, who would have ever thought Blizzard would show up on a dirty dev video? But Blizzard has lost its soul, and that's pretty much going to be the title of this video. I would blame Activision more than anything, and a lot of the outright purists of realism will say you cannot continue to blame Activision for this. Blizzard and Activision are so tied at the umbilicus now, there is no separating the two. In my head, I like to separate the two because I believe in Blizzard. I mean, I'm certainly happy that Bungie got out and they're doing what they're doing with Destiny 2, and I know the uproarious cheers that happened, and I would definitely stand behind Bungie in a heartbeat for getting out of a situation like that, and they had to do something for the fans. And so far on Steam, they're doing a pretty good job. But the Blizzard that I know isn't this Blizzard that is a monster of today's day and age, and I think we are now at the point where Blizzard minus Activision is equal in its existence on this planet as Blizzard plus Activision. It's really sad. We forget, I believe that Activision got in bed with Blizzard back in 2008, which is Wrath of the Lich King, but we often don't think of World of Warcraft as being Activision-ish for many years afterwards. It took about 9, maybe 8 years, minimum 10 years max, before it really started to show. And 2019 and 2018 have not been good with the company, with the layoffs, the whole call center being laid off, laying off positions in the States, and then hiring them back a few years later, like Hearthstone positions and community managers were let go, and then they reposted them. And some of the former employees who noticed this, posted back like, you're like posting this position that my friends were in. Why don't you rehire them, you trash bags? And yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Businesses do this when they know they can get rid of established people that are making X amount of money and have been there for so long and have had raises, or at least standard of living raises, to get into their spot, and then they tabula rasa, they wipe the slate clean, and then they get new talent that can be much cheaper and can be worked to death. I've got a friend down in Florida who's working for EA, and he said, yeah, that kind of happens a lot. They spin cycle all the old people out. They get new blood in who will work themselves to the bone because they're like, oh my god, I'm at EA. It's so amazing. And they're just so happy to be there. They're so starstruck, they'll just work themselves down to nubs on their fingertips. Well, Boycott Blizzard is now a thing, and it is in full swing, and I can't avoid it. As much as I do like Blizzard, I wish they would, to God, separate from Activision. And the really sad thing is, when I was a kid, Activision was literally hip, quote unquote. They were with it. They did great games on the Atari system. I mean, Pitfall 2, Sequest, Megalomania was nuts. I mean, let's see if I can even dig up some stuff on that. Megalomania. Was it Megalomania? I think that was the full name of the game was Megalomania, but I mean it was Megamania. There it is. Um, I mean this was just a fun and interesting game, and like you were shooting dice and everything like that. I think yeah, that this cartridge got it. I mean, it kind of looks like pieces of cheese or dice coming down. I mean, this was a fun game. Um, let's see, Atari 2600. Yeah, Activision games, cool. River Raid was great. Pitfall, Kaboom was interesting. It was a paddle game. Keystone Capers was kind of interesting. Chopper Command, meh. Mega Mania was fantastic. Barnstorming was interesting. Star Master, don't know if I remember this one that well. Typical space sim. Laser Blast was okay. It was their attempt at Space Invader. Spider Fighter was kind of cool. Sequest was good. I remember Oink. Dragster is, of course, where the infamous cheating for world record had occurred. Enduro was interesting. Fishing Derby was kind of nowhere. But their boxing was good. They did a lot of just kind of fun stuff. And they did it for many, many years. And they were probably one of Atari's biggest third-party games. And I mean, Pitfall 2 was really advanced for its time. I didn't play it on the 2600. I believe I had this on my Atari 400 computer. But Pitfall 2 is such an amazing leap over the original Pitfall. So there was a time when Activision was really fucking fun, and they've just become disgusting. So what this all started over was a Hearthstone player, professional Hearthstone player, got a 12-month ban, a guy by the name of Blitzchung, because he vocalized his support for Hong Kong's liberation movement. So they took away his $10,000 and they gave him a year ban. And that's when Boycott Blizzard started. And it's backfiring on them so bad because now the Hong Kong liberation movement is really taking to using Mei and a lot of their graphics and paraphernalia and everything. Mei with the Hong Kong masks and everything. So here's a little bit of what's going on with Blizzard and China. So Blizzard has always reworked a version of World of Warcraft for the China market. And it involves how they change the references to death. Mostly skeletons and things related to the undead get changed highly for the Chinese market. Also, the World of Warcraft movie, while it did okay in the United States, I liked it, but I was spoiled by the Loader movies, and the Loader movies sometimes makes World of Warcraft hard to watch because it's sort of like a little more CGI-ish, and some of it didn't just completely lead up to watching the World of Warcraft fantasy on the screen, but I really liked it, and if I had seen it in the theater, I would have been happy. And I own a copy at home. I was watching it on Kodi well before it made itself into the home markets. I liked it. I would definitely watch it again, but there are certain quibbles with it. But apparently it did quite well on China, well enough that the Chinese market might enable us to get a sequel to it. And to be honest, Blizzard could do World of Warcraft movies for a long time. There's a lot of lore and plot between the books and the Warcraft RTS games and World of Warcraft as the MMO. But anyway, so in Q2 of 2019, the Asia Pacific market accounted for only 12% of its quarterly revenues, though this encompasses other large markets such as Japan. they're kind of calling it peanuts, but it's still sizable, whereas it did 54% in America. The inciting incident took place on October 6th. Following his victory in a Hearthstone Grandmasters match, Chung was interviewed on the official Taiwanese Hearthstone stream by a couple casters. During the interview, he wore a face mask, which is, of course, the big reference to what's going on, and shouted, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." The stream quickly cut to commercial, and on-demand footage has since been pulled from the net. Blitzchung did say, "My call in the stream was another form of participation in the protest I wish would grab more attention." People forget this is how life has been in our parents' generation, and for some of the people watching this, their grandparents' generation. This is what civil rights movements do. This is what Muhammad Ali did. This is stuff that happens, and this is how people, especially the youth, represent their part in it. And they just dunked on this guy. They rescinded his $10,000 and they gave him a 1-year ban. And according to Blizzard, he violated a rule, which was engaging in any act that in Blizzard's sole discretion brings you into public disrepute or offends a portion or group of the public or otherwise damages Blizzard's image. And it will result in a removal from Grandmasters and reduction of the player's prize to 0. So this law is very much on the books, which is unfortunate. You would hope that there would be a loophole for this guy, but there isn't. In a statement issued to IGN following his ban, Chung said, "I expected the decision by Blizzard. I think it's unfair, but I do respect it. I'm not regretful of what I said. I shouldn't be afraid of these kinds of white terror, as anonymous acts that create a climate of fear." Following the ban, of course, Blizzard's gone through a ton of backlash on it. Reddit Hearthstone and Reddit Blizzard's been filling up. Blizzard was shut down by a rogue mod. A post went up that says Blizzard unveils a new logo, which places the Blizzard logo over the Chinese flag. The Hearthstone Reddit, a lot of people are saying they're quitting. And during this game of the Collegiate Series with Worcester Poly and American University, which I think is up in the DC area, Free Hong Kong Boycott Blizz was shown briefly, and the broadcast cut away afterwards. Blizzard has shot them in the foot on this. It's being called the Streisand effect to incredible amounts. They have, if they had let it go, literally nobody would have cared. I mean, some things are going on with China, like apparently South Park has been completely pulled from China because they made fun of it, and that happened. On Wednesday, prominent Hearthstone caster Brian Kibler announced he was stepping down from the Grandmasters final. He wrote Blizzard was correct in issuing Chung a penalty for his action, but he called it incredibly harsh. 2 United States senators have commented. Ron Wyden of Oregon and Marco Rubio of Florida condemned Blizzard for its acquiescence to the Chinese government and their censorship laws. Lots of people within the company do not agree with the decision, so they've been staging walkouts. And, you know, there was it's kind of a phrase within Blizzard that was think globally and every voice matters, and people have covered it up. They're that upset about it, they've covered it up with fucking loose leaf paper. And a small walkouts happened. Umbrellas have become the symbol of the Hong Kong protests, as they were originally used to protect the protesters for facial recognition and tear gas. Between a dozen and 30 Blizzard people walked out and then were using the umbrellas. Even Epic Games and CEO Tim Sweeney said his company would never cut ties with their player based on a political statement. And Epic Games has literally been the villain for most of 2019, if not a little bit of 2018. They've not been putting a good name for themselves, and I actually wanted to do a video on the lawsuit that is happening against Fortnite up in Canada, because, spoiler alert, it's coming, but my stance on it is it's an absolutely fucking ridiculous lawsuit. It enrages me when I hear about that lawsuit, because it's a topic that bothers me to no end, and when I see stuff coming up about this particular topic, I just keep getting mad whenever it comes up, because it shows a lot of people in America are just really, really lazy, and it's really saddening. So that's the background on it, and this Charlotte Mather on Twitter has been one of the people pushing the fact that Blizzard has disabled all four authentication methods to actively stop people from deleting their accounts. Now, you can cancel them, and you can cancel pre-orders, and you can get some refunds and everything, but you actually cannot completely back out of your Blizzard account, and it's going to get really bad as we scroll down here, because there's an international rule that's in effect, and people are using it, and it's not getting through to Blizzard, and that's going to be trouble, because that actually opens them up to a class action lawsuit. So here's Mei with the umbrella and the mask, free Hong Kong on the bit that she uses in her ultimate, whose name I forget if it has a name. But as we can see here, a lot of people have been commenting on it. One of the people that I read in this thread did use the photo of the government ID, and it said that it was illegible. Let's see. So, SMS, authenticator, email, and secret questions. I signed it with my email, so I should have at least had that much. When I went to delete it and click change verification, yep, this happened to me. Same here. Is there a second source for this? I want my Blizzard Boycott train to be built on solid material. Yep, I just tried to do it myself. Due to too many attempts, SMS protect code has been locked. Please try another method. People are calling their credit card company to attempt payment denial, followed by a class action lawsuit, which is possible. Here it is. They denied my request. Even when I sent in my photo ID, they said it was illegible. Like, what on a photo ID would be illegible other than a stick figure? Like, if you had your 7-year-old cousin do your photo ID, would that be it? This guy said it worked for me, but this was just simply a refund for Warcraft 3, The Spoils of War. People were thanking him for the refund. Cancel all pre-orders of Modern Warfare. They really should, although this one is more on the Activision side if you do Modern Warfare, but if you're going to say the two of them are in bed, two of them are in bed. One affects the other. Here, actually no, Blizzard is a game development company. Activision Blizzard, or Actard as we joked on it many years ago, is a publisher previously known as Vivendi Games, which I think Vivendi was Tribes 2, and some others, before merging with Activision. Therefore, boycotting Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard will not directly affect Blizzard, and vice versa. That's not true. Activision Blizzard is a holding company. Hurting any franchise scares people away. Here's my response after uploading a very clear photo ID. We could not verify ownership in question. Please submit a new request of an attached photo. This is a good thing here. I would not recommend giving China copies of your ID. They have enough of your personally identifiable information. I want to find the international data stuff over here. GDPR. There was mention of GDPR stuff in here that because they operate internationally, they are bound by international data laws, and that means they are bound by GDPR. Here it is. Didn't they just break the General Data Protection Regulation article? It should be easy to withdraw as to give consent. GDPR is big news. It is your right in an international company, especially if the company does work in Europe, for you to call up and say, you need to delete every instance of my record in all of your data. I want this done now. You are bound by law to do it. And then they have to. I know this from my own job because we do deal with the European Union. So we could conceivably receive requests like that. That is illegal in the EU because of GDPR. You can sue them for this. Very much true. When when E3 was doxxed and some reporters' names were revealed, if they were an international reporter, they were bound by GDPR, I believe. Um, it's funny that Tim Sweeney talks about it because of Tencent. Um, and this guy's, yeah, I don't believe him for a second. He's not the type of CEO that would stand with consumers and the people while fighting China and Hong Kong either. Um, yeah, Tim Sweeney pretty much would say anything if it thinks it would get him any kind of media attention. It's more massive amounts of PR bullshit than anything. So this is why I had to cover this. As much as I love Blizzard and hate it when I see the Overwatch loot boxes showing up in loot box videos, because I consider them incredibly inoffensive. The game throws them at you for leveling up. When a new event happens, they always give you one. If you roll queue and a roll that is needed in the queue, especially lately tanking, you tend to get a loot box the first time you do it, and then you get 25 credits, which can buy you things. Yes, when an event happens like Chinese New Year. Oh, that's going to be funny for Overwatch this year. Oh, that's an hysterical thought. They should just not do that this year. And that reminds me, BlizzCon's coming up in 3 weeks, so cue up the Arrested Development theme. Like, wow. BlizzCon, 3 weeks. This is a really, really good time for Blizzard to be fucking around and potentially alienating gobs. Like, there's going to be protests at BlizzCon now. You know it, and it's going to be weird. I have my BlizzCon tickets, and I would never refund it. I mean, I stand by the Hearthstone streamer and what he did. I think he had every right to do it, and this is how people get change, and this is how civil rights happens. But I'm not going to I like BlizzCon. I've already put in for the day off at work and everything like that. I think there's a lot of data that's going to be coming out and the things that I'm interested in, especially the future World of Warcraft. I should remove it in protest, but I really don't want to, and I admit that. I know that might annoy some of you, but I still am going to do my BlizzCon stuff. But man, that's going to be a tire fire. There is going to be a clown car pulling up to the front gates of BlizzCon, and there's going to be a fuck fiesta pouring out of that thing. You just know BlizzCon's going to be bad. Co-op their characters and intellectual property, make it as toxic as possible, just like Winnie the Pooh. Of course, Mei has been a thing, and certainly kudos for that. I mean, trust me from my girlfriend who is an artist and does a lot of Overwatch art, and there's a lot of shipping within the communities there, and ties binding people that you wouldn't expect, and dragging characters' plot lines different ways. I'm sure she's seeing plenty of Mei going on over there, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if she ever got a request to do something with Mei in the near future now because of it. But as an aside, yeah, I stand with co-opt as many of their characters as possible, and BlizzCon's going to be bad, and Chinese New Year's going to be bad. But anyway, with the loot boxes, I was saying, yeah, you have the event ones that happen, and they throw the freebie at you, which is to entice you to get the rest. And both her and I, we go into a lot of these events with our clear favorites, and we hope we get them. But when you play and you level up, you also get the loot box of that event instead of a standard one. So I've always found them inoffensive, and when they show up in loot box videos, I kind of get sad mad at it. I'm like, Jim, come on. Why do you gotta use Overwatch in this? I mean, here is that a Storm dumped the purchasable ones a while back, and that's because here the Storm, it's not dormant, it's just not where it used to be, and it is really sad. I was really sad when they dumped their primary support for it. I liked watching the HOTS Invitationals and Pro HOTS, and at BlizzCon it was one of the things that I did watch. I mean, that frees up a slot for me now. I have less, like, TV channel switching. And now it'll be more dedicated to Overwatch. But every BlizzCon was like, yeah, I don't care that much about WoW Arena. I'll watch it if it's the big thing that's at the moment. Nothing else is on. But HOTS competition, always watched it every year for BlizzCon that was available. But they're going to court over this. I mean, bullshit Battle.net, that's the end. GDPR will severely fuck these people. Their only defense is that they could say, oh, we were so overloaded, our systems weren't working, and we couldn't process the deletions and everything like that. But to me, this government ID one seems not to be on a service where it should be overloaded and everything. Yeah, well, shit, I was forced to go through the photo ID requirement years before all of this, and everything else got denied when I tried to delete my Battle.net, doubling down on when this was a problem. It's extremely concerning. Of course, there's Diva. It's illegal. People can't do that. I did not pay any I mean, we would need a translation for that. That's some Asian character. The desktop is not Asian characters, but the recycle bin is. I can't translate that, but Boycott Blizzard is going to be serious. Let's see. Your request to remove your Blizzard account data has been accepted, is now processing. The request will permanently remove and disassociate all personal information from your Blizzard account. He's saying he got approved, and he posted this about 7 hours ago. It's not good. Really, really not good. I mean, it's not going to change my gaming habits with them. I'm far too invested in WoW and Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch. Mildly Diablo 3. But they're so screwed. And this is the PR person in me. This is the communications person in me that has to do a video like this, not the gamer in me. As the gamer, I would have faith in Blizzard that they would get through this, but this is not good for them. And if I didn't do a video on them, that just shows immense favoritism for me, and I have to be neutral in all of this stuff and say, like, they're screwed. They're really, really screwed on this. They're going to force a lot of credit card companies into doing chargebacks, which is never good, and that actually double hurts the company that gets the chargeback placed on them, if I remember correctly, with the Steam key shenanigans. Blizzard kind of takes it double in the pooper for that one. And the GDPR stuff, man, of all the things, like, you just don't fuck with that. One of the staff members who is no longer at my job had a background in law, and they put her on the GDPR stuff at my job, and she was very, very entrenched with it before she had left, and it's super serial. It really is. It's big time shit, especially if any European goes and says, like, I want you to delete my data, I want my account out of there, and if they block it or don't get to it immediately, they're super fucked if they do it. But now I was able to delete my account last night, received confirmation today. Maybe it's getting better. Maybe simply it was temporary where they kind of tried to block it so that people would maybe calm down a bit and not do it. And now they know, oh, wait a minute, we can't do that. Nope, we are digging a hole to China, ironically, if we try and block stuff like that. Let's see. Time to uninstall everything Blizzard. Absolutely disgusted with the company. Uninstall StarCraft 2. Yeah, so that's about it, guys, for this video. I had other ones planned. I want to do my Borderlands 3 video. I want to talk about the law. I really want to talk about the lawsuit going on with Fortnite in Quebec. That's super big for me, and I do want to get that one, but I had to jump in and do this one while it's timely. As much as it pains me to shit on Blizzard's head, it's warranted, and it's unavoidable at this point. So let me know what you guys think about the video, and if you are of the mindset for it, boycott Blizzard as much as you possibly can. I personally am not, but I would support anybody who would, because what they did is absolutely trash. And from a public relations perspective, they have continued to add clown fire to the trash fire. And it is a sparkly clown fiesta of fuck that is burning on their front lawn right now. It is a flaming dog. A flaming bag of dog shit has been thrown on their door for Halloween. And with BlizzCon coming up, it's gonna be a lot of Mei and mass cosplaying. It's gonna be interesting to see if they get escorted the fuck out the building, because it might happen. So take care, everybody. Have a good one.